Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So, I'm pretty excited because the drums turned out pretty well. I'm happy with them. I did the whole cleanup process, and I just wanted to let you hear, just so you know that it went okay. I think that take was all right. I mean, it could have been better. I could have played it 100 times, but because it worked, and I'd done several takes leading up to that, and that was definitely the best one. So I wanted to show you what I had going on underneath it. For some reason, it won't play back the metronome unless the headphones are on. I don't know why. It's a weird thing about it. Maybe because, no, I don't know why. But I can't hear the metronome, but I can at least let you hear what I had done on the other side of it as far as like the guitar and the singing. So just check this out. You can tell what I'm doing in order to have something to play along to. So that was a little scratch track. And I had the metronome going too. So, I think it turned out okay. I think it's okay. Now, the way I'm playing this back, just so you know, after I recorded it, I took it to the computer and cleaned up the tracks and brought them back in after I named them. And then what I do is I double all of these. So there's a snare, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But there's two of everything. 2 snares, 2 left overheads, 2 right overhead tracks, and 2 bass drum tracks. So it just doubles it up and gives it like a bigger tone. It doesn't sound any different, you just get more, like more dBs, more fullness, more mids, everything, just more. So I do that as a standard practice with the Zoom. Now to play it back and make it sound as robust as possible and get an idea of what your final mix would be like, which is what I just did, I go to the mastering effect. Now, I go to the effect button and I'm going to choose mastering on the algorithm. So the algorithm is mastering, and then I go, it doesn't matter which patch because I'm going to edit the patch, but you could go through and check those out. I just leave it on the first one, the plus alpha, and then I go to the input screen. Make sure you choose master. Otherwise it'll only affect whatever, if it's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Usually does it in 2 channel increments, unless you choose master, which is all 24 tracks. That's what I did. Okay, next I go to edit, and I usually do like on the 3-band crossover, I'll make them like 5. Then noise reduction I take off. I don't do any extra gain. Usually I use 5s. I sometimes use for the 3-band I'll use 2, 0, 2, highs 2, mids 0, lows 2, and then for the first EQ 3-band I'll do 5 dB on bass, middle, and treble, and the level's at 62. But you can play with the level, go up, go down, whatever. But I always do that because that's how you get it to sound really good. Otherwise it just sounds like kind of a dry recording. Okay, so now what you do after I recorded those drums last night, right? You're going to take the proprietary USB cable and that they use. I'm sure it's a common type, but they use this particular one. And then you're going to attach that and then go into the computer with it. So it's this here, you go here, and you attach to the computer. All right, so now once you get into the computer, I've already done it, so I'll just show you what I did. Once you get into the computer, you're going to drag, you open the desktop icon and drag the tracks in. So I dragged the first one, which was mono 8. I think that was a bass drum. And here I am doing the first thing I always do. Now, I have discontinued doing noise reduction on these tracks because it wasn't really doing anything but adding a weird sound, like an odd thing that didn't sound good, like an artifact. So I just stopped doing it. It wasn't like I need tons of noise reduction anyway. And I've kind of always been wary. I never liked Dolby NR, so noise reduction to me is not useful, at least the way this works. So I've been going right to classic filters. And for a bass drum, I just cut it off at 30. But you could cut it off way more. I've found that it takes away too much ass if you go all the way up to like 100K, so I do it at like 30. Okay, then after I do that, so I apply the classic filters, and then I'm probably going to amplify this. So I just check and make sure everything's looking good, and then I go up to amplify in the under effects. You have to hit stop to make sure it will clear and give you the effects. But I go to amplify, and I'm going to, this is in Audacity, by the way, I should have said this, but I've done this so many times, and if you've watched the videos you already know. But this is a free program called Audacity. I'm going to go minus 1.5 on the peak, and then put it at the exact right level. Look how strong that bass drum track is. That looks really good. I like the way that looks. And then the bass drum sounds great. Yeah, so that one's done. So instead of saving it, all you have to do is export, and I'm going to title it Bass Drum 1 because remember I'm going to double it later. So that just makes it where it's the same track. It'll just be 2 times in there, so you can assign it to 2 different tracks in the Zoom. No need to save it. So now we go to the next track, which was I believe mono 00. Maybe I'm checking tracks here. This might take a minute. Jump forward. I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. So 000 is the snare, and as you can see, that looks kind of scary. It's peaking there, but I'm going to fix that. I'm going to cut it by 100K in the classic filters, 100 hertz, and then I'm going to go to effect here and amplify, and instead of amplifying we're going to bring the volume down. Instead of bringing it up, I'm going to take it down basically 3 dB, make the new peak amplitude 1.5 as well, so that's 3.169, and there's a nice looking signal. And I was worried that it would sound, distorted. Sounds fine. Sounds like a good snare drum, so all good there. Didn't have to retrack. In the old days I probably would have immediately retracked, but it sounds fine, so I'm okay. So the same deal here. We're going to export. No need to save. There's no need to save the file. You just export it, and this one's going to be called Snare 1 or Snare A. I can't remember what I called it. Snare 1. Yeah, Snare 1. Okay. Then same deal. All of these will be doubled, no need to save it. Now the next one was 001, or no, which one was the next one? Yeah. Okay, now 001 is the leftover head. Same basic pattern, classic filters at 100 hertz, not 100K, and then amplification and the effects, and we're going to bring it down probably another 3 dB. And what I did here is I spot did it. I didn't do the whole track. I just took areas that looked a little hot. Basically those doom ka, doom ka, doom ka. I should have gotten my levels based on that. I got my levels based on the main playing, the main song that as it goes to the verse and chorus. I should have done the intro to test the levels, because that is a little harder, and once you start tracking you usually get a little hyped and you start hitting harder. You usually go too fast and hit harder when you track, because you get a little mentally hyped. I should have tested my levels on that. So now I'm testing my levels here, and as you can see we're all good. Everything's fine and dandy. Same protocol. I'm going to get out by exporting and not saving anything, because the export saves the file on the desktop, and this will be a left overhead 1. And then the next thing I'm going to do is the right overhead, which is the same freaking story. It's got the same kind of stuff going on where it's peaking, and I'm just going to spot amplify and bring that level down after I cut it with the classic filters. Now as far as getting out of this and doubling the tracks, it's very simple. You just take, like say you take bass drum 1, you pull it out, you retitle it bass drum 2, and then just drag it back in. And now you have two versions of the bass drum that's the exact same track, it just beefs it up a little bit. Okay, so from here, what I do is I drag all the tracks back into the Zoom, pull it out, and then when we're in here, you're going to reset it up by assigning the tracks. So that's very easy to do. It can be kind of tricky, but once you understand how to do it, it's quite simple. So what you're going to do is go up here to your track button. So when you click on your track button, you will see, it'll say track 1. And you're going to use your arrows over here to direct your path through track 2, track 3, so on and so forth. You go all the way up to the master, 24, and on to the red line where the master is. I mean the red channel. And you'll notice that it says things like mono -000 wave, or 01, 001, 02, so on and so forth, all the way up to 24. Now, when you go back in, so let's go to, I always put my drums on the back row, I consider it the back row, 17 through 24. So let's go back there, and then look at how these look. I have snare 1, I have snare 2, so on and so forth. You just scroll through, and you can see, and so you assign these. So let me show you how to assign them. You hit the track button, and let's go to track, say, 17. You're going to hit enter, and when you do, it'll say file, and then you will see the names of the files, and I see snare 1 there. And so you just hit enter again, which chooses snare 1 for that track, and then it's assigned. And now you have all your tracks, and you can go and pull the other ones off. You can just, instead of assigning it as one of these, snare 1 or bass drum 1 or whatever, you go to new take. And you just, on new take, you just select new take, and now you've cleared it, and it's back to new take, and it'll be ready for guitars or whatever else. So now that I'm at this point in this stage of the recording, I'm going to take the drums and begin working on the guitar. So now I've got the drums in here, I'll have my headphones on, I'll bring my my Black Limbus Strat, and this time I'm using the Deluxe, because this is a real Fendery, clean kind of song. I ended up just really liking the sound of a Fender amp with it. I might try using the Celestians. That would kind of give us a Marshall/Fender sound, because Marshalls usually use closed back cabs with Celestians. Fenders usually use open back cabs with Jensens and Oxfords and the American type speakers. So you can kind of get a Marshall tone, but I'm really, right now I'm just so into this amp, mainly because I've just been Strat crazy, and there's just something about a Strat with a Deluxe, with no pedals or anything, just like right in. And I basically disabled the trim side of the circuit because there's something wrong with the cap here, so I pulled the 12AX7 that's associated with this channel, and we're basically getting all of, the whole amp's power is devoted to this normal channel, and it sounds amazing. Has a original Oxford speaker in it. I forgot the name of it. It's the 12 whatever, but it's really good. I had a Jensen P12Q in here, and I think the ceramic Oxford beats it. Or maybe that's a Utah. No, it's an Oxford. It's an Oxford. All right, so I'll be tracking guitars next. I'm going to just get this thing rolling tomorrow night. It's guitars, hopefully, then bass, then vocals, and I've got a new song, which is so exciting. And I think it's good, and it sounds like these others. I'm starting to get a theme. I kind of think of this as side 2 of this record. There's like a kind of a theme that's beginning to emerge, a musical theme. I've already got like a theme, for the album, but now I'm starting to get a tonality that's exciting, because it just seems to be building on itself and in a good way. All right, next time.